The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello and welcome to The Gloves Are Off. We got a great show for you today. Lots to talk about, especially what happened to the Edmonton Eskimos in their recent collapse. The Riders finally winning a game. Chris Sale gets suspended, but however the Russian team doesn't from the IOC. That seems weird to me. And of course, we get to Ray Rice, who's talking about making a comeback. And speaking of comebacks, Andrew Brethauer. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for weeks,
Way too
and
long.
he will not leave.
No.
How are you doing, Andrew?
I can't remember if I won last week or not. I don't think I did.
I think you did.
Comeback complete though.
Well, there you go.
Keep
Well,
the
we have
streak alive.
editor of the Lloydminster Source. How are things over there?
They're going.
Life
It's
is
summer. It's winding down.
We're getting to that. Chuck wagons are starting up again. We also have that final third that's going down. So basically, southbound and down at this point, right?
And then into hockey.
There you
Back
go.
to hockey. Never seems like it goes away.
Well, speaking of a hockey guy, you are a hockey coach, not to mention you are a basketball coach slash a AA Twins or Pee Wee AA Twins coach. Recently, we're in provincials this past weekend. Pleased to be joined by Dave Pyra. How are you doing?
Good. I don't know how much of a hockey coach I am. I've kind of coached whatever my kids play, but yeah, I've gotten into coaching some baseball recently and really enjoying it.
Well, glad to have you on. We appreciate you taking the time to visit us. Of course, it is summer, and a lot of you guys want to go on vacation. It seems like the Russian Olympic team was thinking the same thing, but hold on. Vladimir Putin, the leader of Russia, decided to call in a favor. He's good friends, of course, the president of the IOC, and it seems that the IOC passed the buck in terms of an overall ban of Russian athletes, despite further reports suggesting that errors confirmation that Russia statewide was intentionally doping or trying to mask it. With that said, do you feel that this is a cowardly act? And I'll start with you, Dave. Is it a cowardly act by the IOC to kind of say, you know what, we'll let the other federations, like the track federation or the swimming federation, to, I guess, take the blame in this case?
Yeah, I don't know if cowardly is the right word, but I definitely think they miss an opportunity to send a message. If you have proof that the Russian state has been approved this doping program, so it would be very easy just to send a message and say Russia is ineligible. And by passing the buck to the 28 sporting groups, I think I looked this morning, as of today, only 8 have actually made a decision on who's eligible and who's not. I think they've missed the point on this one.
And it's really tough because you have a week and a half to go. So that's a lot in terms of responsibility passed on to the sport federations themselves.
No, and especially when we're talking something that's state country-wide, and you're the representative of the entire every organization, as the IOC is. This had to be their decision, and to give it to other one. I like the idea of giving it to other people. At least somebody can decide whether or not they want to let Russians in. But yeah, this should have been an IOC thing, and we've talked about it. We said they should have been 2, maybe even 3 games they should have been banned for, not just 1. Now you've kind of like, well, we'll see about Rio. No one really wants to go to Rio anyway, so whatever. And then they're all going to be back the next year. That's what bothers me. So in 4 years they're all going to come back, or 2 years they're going to come back for the Winter Games, and no one's going to care. IOC certainly doesn't. We can't revisit this subject again.
How about you? What do you think of this upcoming Olympics? We're about a week and a half away. Does this taint the games due to this decision?
Absolutely. Whichever athletes are allowed to compete for Russia, every medal they win, this is going to be talked about again and again and again. It's going to throw a cloud over the whole Olympics. I think if I don't disagree with allowing clean athletes to compete, but because the Russian state was involved in this program, there should have been a ban on Russia competing, and maybe anybody who, even if they're a Russian proven to be clean, then you compete but under the Olympic flag and not the Russian flag.
It should have been something where Russia's banned and you have to try and prove to everybody else that you're clean. And so if I'm a rower, if I'm an athlete, a track star, and I want to compete, it's that's what I've trained for. It's not my fault that Russia decided to do what they did. Then yeah, I should have to prove to them and say, I didn't do this. I wasn't part of this program. And if you are, so sorry, your luck's out. But at least give those guys a chance. But it should have been a blanket say no, take them out.
Moving on to the CFL now, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they finally earned the W, as I mentioned earlier, in a great comeback victory over the Ottawa Red Blacks. And then on the other end, on Saturday, you saw another team had an amazing start, but imploded in the second half. CFL-wise, in terms of ratings, this was great because you had drama on both sides of the spectrum on Friday and Saturday. But you look at what happened. The Riders had Mitchell Gale, over 300 yards and a touchdown, not bad. And then you go to the other end, and the Eskimos' offense looked like they were going to put up 60 to 70 points, and then all of a sudden fall flat on their face in the second half. What was the bigger story coming out of that weekend?
Yeah, well, I think the bigger story for the weekend was Edmonton. I think it was a record comeback that the Red Blacks made. I think the bigger story going forward is probably for the Riders because they know now Darian Durant's been a Band-Aid a bit for the last 2 years. They know now they have a suitable backup in Mitchell Gale. So I think Edmonton won the battle, but Saskatchewan won the war in terms of the bigger story for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be iffy on the suitable backup. It's 1 week. This is Rider Nation. This will somehow blow up in their face. Eskimo story is obviously the biggest one. You have 10 minutes left in the third in a 31-6 lead, and you blow that, and you're the defending Grey Cup champions, and you're playing a team that's really, is top in the East. We've all
trying to find their way,
and it's just, how do you blow that kind of lead, especially when you're that kind of team and you're made to win games and win games big. That to me, and especially it's putting them in a situation now they're 2-2. Where you should be 3-1 on top of your division. Now you're 1 win away from the Riders tying you. That's kind of a bad thing to look at with a third-string quarterback, basically. So,
hey, well, you know what? That's all that matters is if you get those wins. And we saw what happened to Montreal and Toronto last night with Ricky Ray spraining his MCL out 4 to 6 weeks. Goes to show how backups are as important as a starter. So you need a solid guy in behind you. Ottawa was blessed to have Henry Burris, and then behind him was Trevor Harris. And now we'll see what happens in their case.
And Mitchell Gale studied under both of those guys earlier on.
And you know what?
He's had some good mentors in terms of quarterbacks.
Whatever's coming out of Toronto seems to be working around the CFL. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk about Chris Sale, his recent suspension, and what that means for the Chicago White Sox going forward.